Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Living to Learn. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for your support. Thank you for those of you who have been consistently watching my channel, who have commented, who have shared these videos, who have reached out to me with feedback. I really do take all of that in, and I don't take it for granted. I really appreciate it. You know, time is our most precious, most valuable resource. It's something we can never get back again. You can get more friends, you can get more money, you can get a lot of other things back. Time, you can never get back. So the fact that you spent any amount of time on these videos means a lot to me, because I know that that's a big deal. It's a big investment. Thank you. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you'd like to reach out to me directly or follow me for more content, I have a TikTok and an Instagram at Live to Learn Coaching. You can find those handles in the description of the video. Also, if you'd like to take your support even further, in the description of this video, there are 3 opportunities to donate and to invest in this channel financially. You don't have to do that, but if you want to, hey, it's there for you to go ahead and do. So I would really appreciate that. And thank you again for those of you who have extended your support into that financial investment in this channel. It means a lot to me as well. Thank you so much. So before I get into today's video, I just want to acknowledge that we are celebrating. We're celebrating Memorial Day weekend, and what Memorial Day weekend represents is just a time of reflection and a time of contemplation and remembrance and gratitude for those in our military who have, they've given their lives. They are now in memorial. They are now in memory, because they're no longer here with us, because they went out to fight. They went out to fight as part of our military. And however you and I see the political landscape, whatever our opinion might be, whatever our perception, our perspective might be on this whole, our military and our politics and our country, and believe me, there's room for all of it. We all are entitled to our own opinion on things. The one thing I will say is this: regardless of however you see it, you have to give respect and you have to tip your hat to somebody who died for a cause. However you feel about that cause, whether you feel like it was was wrong, it was right, it was however, right? I'm not here to discuss that. I'm not here to make that argument. We can go around in circles all day, right? We all see it different. But I just want to say that an acknowledgement. I want to give an acknowledgement to those who have lost their lives. Loss of life is it's heavy. It's a big deal. So a Memorial Day acknowledgement is what I wanted to give before I started today's video. Today's video, I want to share a story with you. I've been sharing stories, I think, the last few videos, right? Just like real life examples, stuff that's been happening. And that's just kind of how it works. That's kind of how it works for me. I'm trying to share things that not only are helpful to myself, but stuff that's just kind of like, that comes from real situations, right? As a life coach, as somebody who's trying to help others improve their lives, someone who's trying to help other people recognize what's in them, what they have to offer, I've got to be able to line it up somehow, right? I want to be understood. I want to be understood. I want people to listen to what I'm saying. I want them to watch my videos. I want them to listen to my content, and I want them to understand. I want it to come across as something that, hey, you know what? This is actually something that's useful. This is helpful to me as a regular, everyday person, because that's what I am. I'm a regular, everyday person. Sure, not everyone has a YouTube channel, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about being awareness, but that's really my idea. I'm trying to come across as someone who's relatable, Because I am one who thinks that no matter where we come from, no matter our background, no matter what we do for a living, our culture, there's a lot more similarities than there are things that we're not similar on. And for me, that is a very practical use of time and energy to focus on the things that we do share in common. So again, I'm having this. I'm coming with this story. Something that happened last week. I had to have a discussion. I had to have a talk with my oldest son. Now, I can't even lie. You know, my kids are great. I've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed to have some good kids. And I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky that they're healthy, that they're okay. And we don't have to sit down and talk. I don't have to do a lot of lecturing. Not yet, at least, right? There's not a lot of discipline, like punishment wise or whatnot. And it just doesn't have to happen that often. But every so often, it's like, well, now Dad's got to talk to you. And we need to have a chat. There's a disconnect. Something's going on, and we need to take a time out. I need to kind of remind you why this is important. So we're talking about what happened. Basically what happened was I had given him some instructions on a couple of different things he needed to do, and he wasn't doing them. And so I wanted to make him aware of that. So, I pick him up from school, we're talking, we're in the driveway, and I'm just talking to him, and I'm saying, son, this isn't just about paying attention because Dad told you something. It's bigger than that. Like, this is something that's going to help you out in life. Being aware, paying attention, making sure that you are giving something your focus, your full attention. Looking me in the eyes, looking Mom in the eyes when we're talking to you. Paying attention to what we're saying. Being aware. One of the things that I mentioned to him was, because on this particular day when I went to pick him up, usually usually he gets out and then I'll park somewhere by the school and he'll come, he'll come and find me. But this time he had to kind of start meeting me halfway just because of the timing of things. So as I turn up this street, which is like down the street from his school, I'm parked on the side and I see him walking. He's walking on the opposite side of the street. There's other kids there too. And in this particular street, there's no sidewalk. So they're all really close to the curb. And they were being safe. There's a lot of cars coming and going, but they're being safe. And he wasn't on his phone, so I give him credit there. But he was just like, zoned out, right? He's just like staring straight ahead. And it's funny because every time I see something like that, or I catch myself doing something like just kind of zoning out, I always remember my training, right? I remember we had defensive driving, this company I used to work for when I was a delivery driver. And what they teach you to do while you're driving is where to move your eyes. Don't ever just have tunnel vision. Don't ever just focus straight ahead. You got to be moving your eyes left to right. So what they'll do is your trainer will be driving with you, and she'll ask you things like, what was the speed limit? What did that sign say? Like little things like that, to make sure that you're paying attention, that you're aware. And what that's going to help you do is it's going to help you watch out for things that are coming out of nowhere. Especially in LA, where we were training at. I mean, you've got tight spaces, right? There's not a lot of parking. There's car after car after car. And what's your reaction time if a little kid comes running out, right? Or somebody just comes out from the front of a car, the side of a car. You didn't see it. It was in your blind spot. But you've got to be aware. You've got to do everything you can to eliminate that blind spot. So anyway, going back to this, I'm sitting there and watching him. I'm watching him, and I can see him. And he doesn't even notice me. And so later on when we're talking, I let him know, like, hey, man, that made me a little anxious. That made me a little nervous. And I'm not trying to scare him, but I've got to be real with him. And I told him, you've got to pay attention, son. You've got to be aware of your surroundings at all time. as much as possible. Because if you don't, something could happen that you could have avoided. You might miss something because you weren't paying attention. That awareness, that focus, paying attention, it pays to pay attention. Have you ever heard that before? It pays to pay attention. And I started thinking about that and thinking about today, right? And I was talking to my grandmother earlier, and I'm thankful that she's still here and she's doing great. She's healthy. She looks awesome. She still drives around. I love her. I love her with everything. I love you. And I said, as hard as it is, right? Because I live in Southern California. We live in Los Angeles. If you're not in the state, I'm sure you've seen us on the news. How expensive everything is, how much the rent is, how like the economy and this and that. There are a lot of things that are concerning, but there are very few things in that regard, in that realm, that I can actually control. So, speaking of awareness, speaking of paying attention, I told my grandmother, I said, you know what? Yes, I've considered getting a second job, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I said, but you know what? If I'm really paying attention, Grams, if I'm really thinking, if I'm really being aware of where I'm at right now, there are a lot of things that I can control that I'm not actually doing that would eventually lead to helping me bring in an additional stream of revenue. This is one of them. I haven't got to my 1,000 subscribers yet, but I will. I will monetize my YouTube channel one day. I don't know how long it's going to take. That's not for me to decide. What's for me to decide is, am I going to continue or am I going to quit? That's it. So going back to what I was talking to my grandmother about, I said, when I really back up and I pay attention and I start to become aware of what I'm doing right now, I'm complaining and I'm getting worried, I'm getting anxious about something I can't control. I need to take a step back. I need to reel it in and I need to say, okay, now put your attention on the things that you could be doing that you're not doing. I've been talking about writing this book for how long now? And I'm either going to keep talking about it or I'm going to start to take baby steps toward actually getting it done. And me and her spoke about that. And I told her I had a little plan that I want to start to work on. I need to be disciplined on that. It's that awareness. It's that awareness. This is what I'm trying to teach my son. Like, son, it's not just because you're not listening to dad or you didn't listen to something I said. No, this is life stuff. This is going to help you now and for the rest of your life. Reading the room, reading the atmosphere, right? Understanding what's going on. That's an advantage. That's an advantage. And most of us don't really understand. We don't fully understand how much of an advantage that is. And we get caught up with a lot of this, this group think, as they say, this herd mentality where we're just kind of, hey, everyone else complaining about the economy, everyone else complaining about this and that, so I might as well just complain as well. Oh yeah, they're right. Well, yeah, you're always going to find something that's correct about that. Yes, it is very expensive to live here. But what no one's saying is you can also develop a plan that's going to make your life a little bit easier, such as figuring out a way to bring in an additional stream of revenue. Am I going to sit here and complain, or am I going to be aware of my surroundings and what I have control of and take advantage of that and use it to my advantage? And this is what I want my boys to get. This is what I want them to understand. And this is what I want you to understand. We get in our own thoughts. We get overwhelmed. I get it. I'm a person too. But it pays to pay attention. Remember that. Think about that. Sit with that. Have a great rest of your day.